But it is time to talk about Tottenham, and they miss out on European football. They've gone from a moment at St Mary's where they were 3-2 up and going third in the table before the referee and Ashley Maitland-Niles made up that penalty. But apparently that's just okay. You can just make them up now in the Premier League. Nobody cares. They've had an absolute collapse except for their centre forward over the last third of the season. Sean, I'll ask you this because Spurs fans will miss the European football. It's been a decade and a half since they missed out on it. And yet you'll get some grizzled old pros who will say that's the best thing that could happen to them. Now they can concentrate at least on what they've got to do, getting themselves back online in domestic football.
You can't agree with that, can you? I notice with interest that the man you hounded out and your mates a week before he was due to play the League Cup final has since gone on to win the Conference League and is now in the Europa League final, Dan. But you didn't want him, did you? Because he won things, but he didn't quite play the Spurs way. So I blame you and your mates for the situation you're in as well. You're now not even qualifying for Europe. And as Jose probably said rightly during the week, the only team I haven't got any affinity with, he says, is Tottenham because of the way they treated him. So I don't think you appreciated what you had. I don't think you appreciated what you had. I really don't.
Oh, well, you are, of course, we live in a free country. You're entitled to your opinion, and you are 100% wrong.
You've got 25 minutes to the 8 o'clock news now, Danny.
On a personal level, Sean, I don't mind you being wrong. I'm used to it with you. But of course, you control one of the biggest newspapers in the world, and it's sports coverage. So to hear that level of ignorance being displayed in public is actually heartbreaking for your readers.
Danny, how did you feel then going back to the sacking?
Which one?
He was delighted.
Of Mourinho.
Mourinho never wanted him there in the first place.
But
just not the right kind of manager for the club.
So days before winning the trophy,
that doesn't win anything, so he wasn't the right kind of manager for them.
But what about timing? Whether you liked him or not, what about the timing of it?
That was weird. But I guess they were going to sack him anyway, so that it would have been worse if they won the trophy.
Why? Why?
Because it would have been hard to sack him, I guess, is what they would say.
But you've won a trophy. That's what you want to do, don't you?
Yes, of course.
Not if Jose manages him, he doesn't. No.
I don't get that. I'll be honest with you.
Asterisk next to that trophy.
It's not truthful, Sean. Tell the truth.
Danny, I don't get it. I don't get it. You can sack him if he wins
George
a trophy.
Graeme winning a trophy.
Daniel Levy, true.
You didn't like that, though, did you?
Daniel Levy can and does do anything he wants. So,
yes.
You just have to win that trophy, and then if Jose Mourinho's done whatever, you come out and say this is the reason why I've sacked him.
Look. The sacking of Jose Mourinho is not the mistake; it's the appointment of him that's the mistake. In the same way as the appointment of Nuno is a mistake. Bear in mind, Nuno has just won the league in Saudi Arabia. So he's a great manager as well, apparently.
Come on, Chelsea's got a bit of a track record.
But the reason why you
Conte
go that
was the wrong person as well. But everyone knows.
So what's the common denominator here, then, Danny? What's the common denominator here?
Horrible. Nuno's a nice enough guy. Horrible defensive coaches with egos bigger than the stadium, and that's saying something.
And who makes the appointments of these coaches
Daniel
more
Levy.
than once? And who hasn't appointed a manager as yet? And every manager that seems to be.
I'm not defending Levy. He's made a succession of mistakes. That's my point I'm making. He's made a succession of mistakes that have led us to where we are now. And the trouble is, and the problem is, and I have an award-winning podcast about Tottenham. Thank you all the people who voted for that. The people are going mad to get Levy out. Hashtag Levy out. Hashtag ENIC out. The reality of modern football is that we have no power over him coming or going, and Everton fans are pushing very hard in a similar sort of direction at the moment. And two, why would he go? And why I say that is this. When the Manchester United deal goes through, it will set a new record for the price of a Premier League club, but it will also value them above any NFL clubs that have been sold in the recent past. And there's been a psychological ceiling because the Americans don't want to admit the Premier League clubs are worth more than their NFL clubs. And once that's been broken by Manchester United, every club in England will be worth 30% more than it was yesterday. And that will add another ka-ching to Daniel Levy's already vast riches, because we've seen he's appeared down in the Sunday Times rich list, hasn't he, for the first time? Look, it's hard to get rid of him if that's what you want. But, and of course, there's one other thing as well. the kind of people who could afford to buy a Premier League club, a top half Premier League club now. People talk about nation states, and we've seen the controversy over Newcastle. I mean, if you want Daniel Levy out, who would you have in?
No, absolutely.
The North Koreans?
Absolutely.
The North Koreans?
That's what I've said as well. How many multi-billionaires are there out there? And then you're talking about nation states and what kind of nation state it is. So it's not as simple to say that. But
I've got a plan, though. I've got an evil plan here. I think I said it on Trans Europe Express, but of course that's for people who are discerning and late at night and hipsters. Yeah, the Irish government, who has got a windfall because of the way the corporation tax works in this country, are setting up in a copy of what's happening in the oil-rich states a national investment fund, and they're doing it right now. So I hope that they will buy Tottenham Hotspur and Ireland will own Spurs. And then all would be happy then. I'd be very, very happy.
But who do you want to be the chairman then?
Who do you want as a manager, Danny? We've been through this so many times and you never can really tell me, apart from, we want Poch back. What on earth? Who do you want? What sort of manager?
What sort of manager?
Well, all right. Who do you want as manager then?
Well, the following qualifications: they must want to be there, and not just think that it's beneath them, like Conte looking at the sole of his shoe for the club that he works for.
Yeah, but the thing is, Danny, sorry, can I just interrupt you there and just say, look, what about Arne Slot? He doesn't want to be at Tottenham. He sees Feyenoord as a better option than Tottenham. What does that tell you? I agree with you about Antonio Conte, and I think Antonio Conte has a lot to answer for. Brilliant what he did in that first season, getting Spurs into fourth.
Towards the end of the season, we were playing some great stuff, yes.
And you knew it was always going to end up in the way it ended up, but just not so quickly, and how he did it as well. He has a lot to answer for, and he let the club down, I believe. But at the same time you've got a fight, and with the greatest respect to the Eredivisie as well. Okay, they won the title, but why would you not want to step into one, the Premier League, and two, a club the size of Tottenham Hotspur? Why are you negotiating with your club and against Tottenham almost to get a better contract for yourself? They should be thinking this is a wonderful opportunity, and they're not.
I presume because people can convince themselves whatever they want to convince themselves, Scott. We know that, human nature, and he can line up. Daniel Levy is difficult to work with. Other managers have found it very difficult to do anything there. They haven't got European football. I couldn't get a straight answer about Harry Kane. Of course you can convince yourself that you don't want the job. And I respect that. He's entitled to do what he wants to do.
It's more than one. It's more than one. He's just in a list.
Sure. And in 10 years' time, Spurs will be Spurs, and they will be footnotes in history, some of these guys.
Do you not think going out all out, say for, I don't know, a Thomas Frank, maybe somebody like that, would be an interesting direction to go in and push the button and say, okay, what do you want? Let's pay the compensation. You're the man. Build us the new Spurs. Well,
Thomas Frank's clearly a very good football manager. I'd have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
would he want to go?
No, probably not.
The manager of Brentford wouldn't want to go to Tottenham. God.
Well, the manager of Feyenoord didn't.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that shows you've sunk a bit if the manager of Brentford doesn't want to go as well. I mean, I know it says Brentford.
It just shows that it's this week's thinking among football professionals.
Oh, come on. No. Brentford, he's done a very, very good job at Brentford over quite a long period of time. But you sound a bit lukewarm about, say, him being the manager. Why wouldn't you want him? No, I'm not lukewarm. I don't know, Sean. All managerial appointments, and I can't seem to get this through your head. Scott, do me a favour. Just know where you're getting with this.
Just tap on the side of Sean's head, see how thick it is. I can't seem to get through to him. All managerial appointments are a gamble. And I don't. It's not my job to know. I don't know who would be a good manager there.
As I said before, you are a good student of the game in world football.
Yes,
pick me a manager.
Award-winning podcast.
What did the award-winning podcast say you should get?
All right, then. Ruben Amorim. There you are. He'd want to be there. He plays attacking football.
I think he'd do it, yes.
Yeah. And that's who I've said since the start, to be truthful.
Okay, there you are then.
Yeah,
but you're right, Dan. That would be a gamble as well. I cover Portuguese football, and he's done really well. Although league-wise, they finished fourth in the end. Yeah, absolutely.
They sold the whole team from underneath him. To be fair,
they sold Paulinho and Mateus Nunes, and he wasn't happy about that. And the start of the season killed him definitely. But he is a good manager. If you saw against Arsenal as well, but that in itself, as good as he is, would be a gamble. So you're right there. But I just feel it almost seems to be. It's weeks and weeks turning into months and months.
Oh, it's disgraceful. It's a disgrace.
This is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
It's a disgrace. And as I say on the View from the Lane podcast, we shouldn't be begging people to come to Spurs. Now, anybody who has any questions about wanting to be there, they're not fit for the job.
Absolutely.
But you know, it can't allow it to become 2021 again, where poor old Nuno, and I do feel sorry for him, and well done winning the title in Saudi Arabia, if that's where I think it's Saudi Arabia. You know, when you know you're 15th on the list, it not only it's not inspiring for you, but the players are just leaning back when you come through the door going, aye, well done, you got the gig then. And knowing full well to be paid off in 9, well, it didn't last 9 months, did it? 3 months' time.